A few weeks ago, we were assigned to do a blog post on race, and I wrote about the media's tendency to create a false narrative that there is racism everywhere in American society today. The next day, I was encouraged to read a post that another student had written in an attempt to refute mine. I had previously thought that my argument was pretty uncontroversial and that most people would be able to see through what the media does, but I quickly discovered I was wrong. Although I was expecting some unique, insightful arguments, I was disappointed to find that the post was merely a regurgitation of overused, illogical talking points used by the media. I realized that no one, even people that I consider intelligent, was immune to Ngozie's idea of the single story. When the media presents an aspect of society as racist over and over again, that is what it becomes. The media's argument is usually presented like this. Some awful-sounding statistical disparity between blacks and whites is shown, and the audience is supposed to automatically assume that racism is the cause of this disparity. However, what anyone with common sense knows is that just because there is a statistical disparity doesn't mean that it is caused by racism. Yet, the media won't show the real reasons behind the disparity or anything that suggests that racism isn't in play. Take police shootings, for example. The media usually throws out statistics like this.
Among young black men ages 15 to 19, they were shot by police at a rate 21 times higher than whites the same age.
Or this.
Last year, African Americans were shot by police at more than twice the rate of whites.
In an effort to show that white officers are just going around shooting black people for no reason whatsoever. Sure, blacks are more likely to be shot by police than whites on a percentage basis, but under the same circumstances, they are actually less likely to be killed. According to Peter Moskos, professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice at the City University of New York, if one adjusts for the racial disparity in the homicide rate, or the rate at which police are feloniously killed, whites are actually more likely to be killed by police than blacks. Adjusted for the homicide rate, whites are 1.7 times more likely to be shot and killed by police than blacks. A study by Roland Fryer, an African-American professor at Harvard, found that under the same circumstances, blacks are actually 23.5% less likely to be shot by police relative to whites. Furthermore, a Washington state study in which police officers participated in highly realistic police simulations resulted in a similar conclusion. In scenarios in which deadly force was required, the officers took significantly longer to shoot blacks, averaging 0.23 seconds slower. When officers made mistakes and wrongfully shot at people, they shot whites 54 times and blacks only twice. The media's tendency to present misleading statistics that don't tell the full story, combined with the fact that the media almost exclusively covers shootings in which the victims are black, contributes to people believing that racism against blacks is a key factor in police shootings. In reality, racism against blacks plays little or no role in police shootings overall. Another thing that is often complained about is driving while black, the claim that black drivers are racially profiled and pulled over for no reason. While it's true that black drivers are pulled over more, there are a few reasons we can't automatically assume this is caused by racism. Firstly, blacks tend to live in more heavily policed areas, which leads to more encounters with police, and more encounters with police leads to more traffic stops. Second, this argument makes a false assumption that everyone drives the same, regardless of race. After New Jersey police were accused of pulling over too many blacks for speeding, there was a study commissioned that found that the opposite was true. Blacks were speeding disproportionately, so obviously they were being pulled over disproportionately relative to their population. In fact, blacks were actually underrepresented in those who received speeding tickets. Although blacks made up 25% of all people who were speeding, they were only 23% of all the people receiving speeding tickets. Although the fact that blacks are pulled over a lot may seem striking at first, a closer examination of statistics reveals that there is nothing remotely racist about this. I could continue disproving many media claims of racism, but I'm running out of time and also don't really feel like it right now. It's important for all of us to attempt to not fall victim to the single story told by the media. We should all question what we think is racist and determine if we think that because it is actually backed up by evidence or if we think that because the media has told us to think that way. In order for us to reduce racial tensions and fix the racism that still exists in our society, it is essential for us to be able to distinguish real racism from absurd claims perpetuated by the media.